Hello, hello, Otafest podcast. This is season 10, episode 10 of the Otafest podcast. Oh my god, in hexadecimal, that would be the letter B.
Is this like a Sesame Street episode, but for learning hex?
No, I think that's actually wrong. I think I'm actually wrong about that. Oh no. Oh no.
All your programmer cred, all your years of learning the hex out the door in just 1 month.
I was off by one. It's actually the letter A.
You fool.
It's decimal 10.
Thankfully, the letter J is here for you.
Thankfully. But the letter J is too much for hexadecimal, so let's get off that subject. Artist Alley applications are opening soon. Mark your calendars for Friday, November 15th, so you can head over and check out otafest.com/artists for all the juicy details. Do note that applications are not on a first-come, first-served basis, but are selected 60% by jury, 30% by lottery, and 10% by invite. So apply for your Artist Alley table. Artist Alley is always fun. Artist Alley is
a good time.
It is frequently becoming my favorite part of any convention that I go to. That is the place where you find the most unique things.
Yeah, it's like I have never been much for shopping in the first place, but it doesn't help when some events are like 80% shopping.
Yes.
And of the 80% shopping, 90% is like typical vendor stuff, which is to say that you could find them online and you can find their products and wares from the source. And, like there's just not a lot of variety and not a lot of uniqueness and not a lot of flavor to the property. But that's what artists add.
Exactly. It really does. Like, when I was in Denver Fan Expo earlier this year, they didn't really have very much panel space at all. Their panel rooms were exceptionally small, mostly just for cosplay meetups and things of that nature. Whereas the majority of the con was basically the vendor floor, the artist alley, and going to meet and greets.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was a big change from Otafest, I find. But you're right. The Artist's Alley specifically, is that little sprinkling of seasonings that make Otafest what it is, that make it unique. And I'm here. I'm here to see all the local artists.
When I think about it as an event, and as an event organizer, and as someone who does appreciate merchandise every now and then, even though I said I don't be shopping, but when I do shop, I know exactly what I'm looking for when it comes to a product. And more often than not, I know exactly where I can kind of find the thing that I want online. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
I don't know about people collecting, but for the rare times I'm collecting, I don't expect to see that at a random exhibitor's hall as it is. The things that I'm, looking for, like, I usually have to special order. I usually have to go to eBay. Like, it's probably going to be secondhand because it's probably older or it's going to be more difficult to find. And, your stereotypical merch vendor will just not have it in stock because even if they have it, they're not going to bring it because maybe it costs more or it's risky to bring it and they don't want it to sit out in a vulnerable public space.
Well, on top of that, if you have something that hasn't sold for the last 5 to 6 years, are you really sure that it's going to sell at an anime convention now?
Exactly.
But
on the topic of the good part about Artist Alley, I can't find that.
Artist's Alley has the things that you don't even know you want.
Exactly.
Like, you go there and you are surprised by what you find. going back to the Danver Fan Expo, Dio and I found a woven Freerin blanket in their artist alley, and it is the centerpiece of our living room.
That's nuts. That's so
It
cool.
is wonderful. I love it. Ah,
I like to see ceramics is
yeah.
a thing I like finding at artist alleys. Um, I do. I won't just buy any ceramic. I will say, like I'm looking for certain styles or maybe characters involved or anything like that. But when I do find something, whether it's like a pot for a plant or a dish or a pot for or soups and stuff like that,
Ooh,
I'm looking.
you're looking.
I'm gandering.
Your peepers are peeled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Ah,
why we want to see all of the artists at Otafest, but we can't fit all of you, so that's why there has to be an application process.
yep. But I do like that it's not first come first serve. Uh,
True.
like I understand exactly why it isn't first come first serve. It gets pretty swamped pretty fast, and we want to make sure that
Oh,
people aren't overlapping too much, right?
literally the first hour is filled on first come first served. If it was just on that basis, it's immediately filled. It's not even
Yeah.
funny. But that's the reason why we do jury. And for people who are not familiar with what that means, it's literally we ask in the application, you send us samples, not physical samples, but just like, show us kind of what you do and your quality of work and things like that. We want you to be able to tell your story as an artist, not just through your work, but like, in letting us know why you want to be part of our event as well. Um, because we do like supporting local for one thing, and we like seeing the quality of work that's coming through because at the end of the day, we also have to satisfy the expectations of our audience, which is to say, we want people to feel like they are having a good time, whether it's the artists feeling like they're, you know, going to get some business, get some exposure through sales and you know, everyone at the market, or people coming in and looking to buy and they're not having their expectations let down by stuff that is maybe a little bit not as well done, not necessarily
Well,
like
it's not only that; it's
from
also like
a
product selection, right? If
yeah.
everybody's just bringing stickers and charms, uh,
Yes, that's a big part.
it gets a little bit
Variety
repetitive. But if someone's bringing
variety
in
is
like
key.
handmade T-shirts or ceramics, like you said, we've seen
Yes.
some really interesting like sweater designs and hoodie designs in the past.
Oh, yes,
Tote
absolutely.
bags. There was a
Desk
couple years ago,
accessories.
I got a bottle opener that was made to look like the traditional ticket of an onsen. I love it. I still keep it and I use it.
Ooh,
It's
that's pretty
gorgeous.
sick. We like that.
Yeah.
So,
Like legitimately, Artist Alley is the things that I didn't even know I wanted.
yeah,
Yeah. I love it.
Artist Alley is easily the funnest walkthrough when you can just look, you don't have anything else to do. You're just chilling. It's easily the best part.
Yeah. Well, but enough about Artist Alley right now. Jay,
Yeah,
Jay, I have a
yeah.
complaint. I'd like to register a complaint. You see? You
Mm,
see,
no.
yesterday, I was trying to put a freshly picked garbage SSD into Dio's PC. Dio had been
Oh yeah.
complaining about slow hard drive speeds, and so we needed more storage, and so I picked only the finest SSD out of the finest dumpster that I could find, and I went to go and put it into Dio's PC. And what I found was that their PC only had slots for 2 hard drives, which were already filled. Already filled,
Mm-hmm.
you see. So if we wanted to include the SSD in their build, it would have to just float freely, squished between different wires, getting
Ew.
harassed harumbled, and making all of the cable management worse as a result.
I don't want it.
Jay, PC cases aren't built for data hoarders anymore, and that's a problem.
No, first of all, it's not made. First of all, storage capability has increased like orders of magnitude in storing capability. It's that you storage hoarding degenerates are the exceptional use case that they don't immediately build for.
What do you mean? What do you mean? When I bought my PC case back in 2011, it had room for 8 different hard drives. 8 different hard drives, 3.5-inch drives nonetheless. It had so much room. And then, not only Dio's PC case, when I bought the most aesthetically pleasing PC case that I could for $80 2 years ago for my NAS, I was dismayed to learn that it also only had 2 hard drive bays. But I had 3 hard drives to mount in it. You know what I had to do, Jay? You know what I had to do with that PC case?
Throw it out.
No. God, no.
Burn it.
Heck no. Heck no. Heck no. Oh my god. What is wrong with you? So wasteful. So wasteful. I had to drill some holes in the motherboard tray. And so
you gave it a lobotomy?
2 of the hard drives are in the basement of the case where they belong. And then 1 hard drive is just facing out to the world, bolted directly onto the motherboard plate right beside it, as if it were some kind of statement piece, being like, look at my drive is amazing, give it a lick.
I haven't seen Dio's PC in a while, but I thought they had an open air case.
They do. They do.
Do
they have
still?
like the Thermaltake P3, if I remember correctly.
Because it was wall mounted at one point, right?
Yes. And so the issue is it doesn't have anywhere up front in the open air area for your drives. All the drives get stored in the thin little 1-inch area that the motherboard and everything bolts onto. And within that area, we thought there was more space, but a lot of it is taken up by reinforcing metal for that wall mounting system.
So you weakened the reinforcing metal.
No, we just gave up. No, I'm not talking about Dio's case for this. That was my old NAS case that I also did.
Oh, that was your
So
old
this
case.
is 2 different cases bought within the last 5 or 6 years that just don't have hard drive space.
Well,
and I know what you mean.
I, for one,
you have.
I don't even have hard drives.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. This plebeian out here can't afford the spinning rust. I can't believe it.
Nope.
I can't believe it.
I'm on.
You spent all your money on the 3090, that you couldn't get anything shiny in chrome.
I think I have 4 terabytes all in M2.
Damn.
I think that's what it is. I don't remember. I don't want to say I'm done with computer builds, even though I've stated my next build is not a build. It's probably going to be a pre-build because I'm just getting lazy, and I no longer really believe that the difference in quality from my own build to a pre-built is far enough removed.
Oh, I know that the computer that I would make myself is better quality. Rather, so I have 2 different minds about it. For the exact same price, I can build something that is better quality. I would not cheap out on the parts that pre-builts cheap out on. Things like the power supply, things like the motherboard. Whereas a pre-built, they always focus on your CPU, your GPU, and sometimes they'll go as far as to specify like the RAM speed or timings. In my case, I can be like, you know what? I don't actually need the top end CPU. I can drop down 1 tier and take that money and get a much better power supply that will be guaranteed to last for like a decade. Whereas in pre-builts, the PSU is usually the first thing they skip money on.
That's true.
But the storage specifically. So I actually do have a lot of spinning rust hanging around my house. I have the opportunity to pull hard drives out of dumpsters. For example, my NAS, my network attached storage, is 18 terabytes of storage. And because, full disclosure, they are dumpster hard drives. They are hard drives that someone else already decided were bad. One of those hard drives is dedicated to data recovery. So I have 12 terabytes usable.
Oh, that's funny.
I have 12 terabytes usable. Any of the 3 hard drives can die, and I can put in a 4th dumpster hard drive in there and recover everything, and I'll be great.
Mm-hmm.
So that is
the new robot overlords look kindly upon you.
Well, that's the dichotomy. You can understand that you can make something really good, really high quality, and you will spend money to do that, but about the same money as you would normally spend on a pre-built. Or you can go, what I do with everything that isn't my main computer, and take things out of the garbage and build them in such a way as to be resilient despite being trash, literal trash.
See, I used to be on that same train as you, but again, I think the market, not as a whole, not for like non-professionals or non-specialists, but like, don't get me wrong, crappy pre-builds definitely still exist.
They're everywhere.
And then crappy pre-builds masquerading as good pre-builds definitely exist. But I think the good pre-build, if you're willing to pay the price and kind of be more mindless about your, customization preferences, or you're willing to be like, these are the parts, assemble them for me, do some quick tuning for me, and I will fine tune everything else. I would rather just do that approach now.
For me, quite frankly, after watching more than a couple of those Linus Tech Tips Secret Shoppers videos, I politely disagree. There is no pre-built company that offers things at a price to performance ratio that I would ever be comfortable accepting. I understand that they give you the hard drive. I understand that they give you support.
Here is the other thing.
In all but the most boutique scenarios, in all but the most boutique high-end pre-builds, where you are literally being charged a $1,000 premium, none of the other ones are good.
Yeah, but I'm also of the opinion, I look at it as let's say most complex machines, let's say a car, let's say, to compared to your computer build, okay? The truth is that most people don't know how a car works. Even fewer people know how an electric car works now, let alone a ICE one. But same thing goes for computers. Most people don't need the performance of let's say like a Lamborghini, but the people who are really gearheads will pick up whatever, whichever make and model of a vehicle that they really like, and they'll start putting their time and money into it to make it the way they want to, and I respect that. I do, because that's my
Your argument right now is that you would buy the Lamborghini.
No, but the problem here is that most people don't need either car.
Oh, true. 100%. Oh, if we talk about just pure needs,
99%
of all computing can get done on a Raspberry Pi.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
No, I would.
But
99% of computing is Excel sheets and web browser.
Yeah, but with the way that web browsers eat RAM,
No, no, 100%. People could do it on Raspberry Pi. People don't need 10,000 Chrome tabs. They can live with 5.
but people do because they have bad browsing habits.
And that's why they need the Lamborghini or the supercar.
Yeah, but they're not going to learn. They're not going to learn to build the car, right?
But that's what you're
They're
saying.
not
You're
going to build
saying
up
you
the
would
car.
get the Lamborghini. And I'm
I've already
saying
done my time.
that is
I've already done my
literally
time
dumb.
building the car.
That is literally dumb.
I've already
you
done
can
my
just
time building the
LS
car.
swap a shitbox and get better performance.
Possibly. But I think there are companies out there that'll do good for you. You do have to pay for it.
Nah.
But like all things, I'm willing to pay for things that I don't want to do anymore.
That is the crux of it. I'm totally at home. I am totally happy swapping out my CPUs, motherboards, RAMs, SATA
You're happy
cables.
you're happy being a soldering gremlin.
You are out here reverting to console peasant. You were like, I don't want my 3090 anymore. I don't want to play Elden Ring and nice AAA games. I just want to sit down with my Switch 2 and play all my Switch 1 games on my Switch 2.
That is closer than you think. I think my level of interaction with AAA games wanes by the moment.
Oh, AAA games are shit. I was literally watching I was literally watching someone play Black Ops 6 on a stream earlier today, and I was just like, ma'am, I don't give a damn about this game. It literally looks like if someone took Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, the first one from like the first COD 4 from 2008, 2007, and just set the graphics to ultra. Nothing's changed.
Like, here's the thing. There are several AAA games that I have to finish. I do want to finish them. I just want to put it out there. One of them is Red Dead Redemption 2. The other one is Cyberpunk.
Red Dead 2 is like 8 years old now.
I know, but it was a AAA in its time. And what's the one with the red-haired hunter lady?
Oh, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah, I still have to finish that. And I want to finish these games. But the most fun I've had playing games recently, I played Necro Rumble.
Okay.
Which is a very simple, literally like 20-minute roguelike. I'm trying to get into, but I'm waiting for more updates on the development for this Pokemon, not ROM hack. What's the other term?
Fan game?
Fan game. Yes, thank you. It's a Pokemon fan game called This Gym of Mine, where you become a gym leader.
I can't believe you're talking about this right now. The Nintendo lawyers have listened in on this conversation, and they are already en route to shut down this gym of mine.
Oh, absolutely.
The cease and desists are being typed
They'll never find it
as we are speaking.
Other games that I had most fun playing were all very simple games.
Yeah, no, I actually get you on that.
But they had good gameplay, and I knew. I want to put this out there. I knew when I bought the 3090 that I didn't need it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was well aware. I'm not someone.
I'll give you a 3060
money can
Ti.
be involved in a trade. Money can be involved in a trade.
I can't afford it. Even if I give you my 3060.
On a side note about graphics cards, I honestly believe that the 3000 series is probably the best value for your money in a long time.
No, they're not. The only way to make
What's
the
better?
argument that they're the best value for your money in a long time is because it is going to be a generation, not a hardware generation, a human generation before graphics card prices come down to what they should be.
No, that's not what I mean though.
I know that's not what you mean, but that's the reality. The only way to say that, yeah, the 3000 series was the good deal is because NVIDIA, instead of keeping the prices the same and ramping up the performance as you would expect, every generation, every hardware generation, they ramp up the prices to actually outcompete the dollar the dollar per performance
I mean,
ratio of their
that is
previous
true.
generation.
I've read somewhere that Nvidia is now currently the
They're the most
most
valuable
expensive
company
company.
in the world.
Yeah. There's something like 3 trillion or something. I don't know anymore.
Yep.
But anyways, aside from all of that, no, I think it's I guess there might be an argument made for certain AMD cards, but I think of the Nvidia line, they're probably the best money for value.
Okay, so that's what you mean. That is what
Yeah.
you mean. Quite frankly, I hate to say it, AMD and especially Intel, they are so behind. I shouldn't say behind. They are so unsupported on certain technology stacks that for a
Hmm.
lot of people, the use case just isn't there for them.
That is
Especially
true.
Intel, specifically Intel in that regard, because
Yes.
anything that is DX10, I think it is, or lower, they emulate in hardware, and it's slow as hell. It has to be DX11 or better uh,
Hmm.
for it to even work, basically.
That's weird.
Like Counter Strike 2 will work on NVIDIA cards. Counter Strike Source, you'll get like 10 frames per second or some bullshit like that. You'd actually be better off running it on your CPU. AMD, on the other hand, AMD on a performance level for mid high end, entry level high end,
Yes.
is competitive. On the actual high end, they are not competitive. But then
No.
there are certain features that are in other software tied to NVIDIA's Tensor cores and RT cores that there's just no answer for. There is no option. In my
Hmm.
situation, I like to use VTube Studio a lot, and I'm not using an iPhone for face tracking. So my only real option is to use the NVIDIA RTX face tracking through my webcam. I'm not even using RTX for gaming. I don't give a damn about
Hmm.
RTX for gaming, but because it can be used for face tracking specifically and facial animation, I need to go with NVIDIA. I don't have a choice in the matter.
Just get yourself a nice Xbox 360 Connect.
Honestly, no, because that doesn't work for face tracking either. That can actually work for body tracking, and that is really
Yes.
interesting. That is a
They
really
use that in
interesting use
labs.
case for
They
VR.
still use that tech in labs.
It's really cool. Uh,
Hmm.
the Xbox Connect and Connect 2 were stupid from a console perspective. It was never going to work from a business perspective, but from a technology perspective, they are really cool.
I always like that. I did not read the article fully, but I read something recently about sort of uh the unexpected benefits of gaming, essentially.
Oh, okay.
And one of them was like people know, for example, how like the Wii was really well used in retirement home communities
Yes.
to engage with seniors to get them to start moving and have fun while doing it. The games, especially like the Wii Sports type games,
Wii
very
Sports was
simple but very
ridiculously
fun.
good.
Yeah.
I am of the belief that any hype that currently exists around Mii's in games like Smash Bros for the Mii fighters and all of them, all of it comes
Hmm.
back to Wii Sports because it was just that good.
Kind of. There was actually, I would say there's actually something better, which was the DS.
Oh, are you thinking Tomodachi Life?
No, that's 3DS. I was thinking more because of the Street Pass functionality.
Were Mii's on the DS for Street Pass?
I'm pretty sure
I feel like they had something similar to Muse,
they
but
would
not
be part of your little
exactly.
community thing. They became like you had friends. They'd be part of your community. You pass by people. That was a big thing in cons, man.
Yeah, I remember how big
Remember
Street
that?
Pass
You would,
was.
yeah. It was a good time. That it's interesting because nobody, and I mean when I say nobody, I mean like I guess Sony really. But I also mean Nintendo in a way. Sony with the Vita that did not catch on in North America, they never replicated that community type feeling. Nintendo did not really replicate it. It was hard to capture, but they managed to capture some magic in those Wii Sport era
The
and
issue with Street Pass, unfortunately, I loved Street Pass. The problem was, as an adult using Street Pass, you could set your settings to be some stupid shit that children
oh
should
yeah.
not be seeing. And suddenly,
Yeah.
children get messages in Street Pass that they should not be seeing. And that is why Street Pass does not exist on modern consoles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The oldies do be ruining it for the
Well, it's the
youngies.
exact same reason on the 3DS, or was it the original DS, that Nintendo shut down SwapNote. SwapNote was a
Oh, really?
ridiculously fun game. It was a ridiculously
So
fun game.
I,
It came built in. It came built in on the 3DS, I think it was.
yeah, yeah.
And people were having a good time. People were being very creative. There were people using SwapNote as like a flip book to do animation. It
Hmm.
was super cool.
Yes, I do remember that.
Unfortunately, adults were sending things in public spaces that children shouldn't be seeing. And it's not even a matter of the adults intentionally sending it to kids. It's a kids' console. Kids would get into the spaces, and adults were doing adult things. I
I
will let
will say
your
there's actually
fill in the rest.
there's actually more to it for the swap note thing.
Oh, there's something more?
It it's actually a backdoor vulnerability.
Oh, was it?
Yes, it's actually one of the major um hacks
Was
that
that how people were getting
the
homebrew?
Yes, that's actually one of the methods
Oh my god,
is
I
through
didn't
swap
even
note.
realize.
Yep. I think it probably has something to do with their networking, because I think you do need to be able to connect. Like
If
I
that's the
will say that
reason
if
they
there's
killed
any
SwapNote
inaccuracy in
and
my
it had
statement, I
nothing
do
to do
apologize.
with child protection, I will actually be even more angry at Nintendo.
I think it's funny, but it's been a while since I've looked into that scene. But I do remember there was some vulnerability associated with it
Yeah.
that they did access and started be able to install homebrew onto DS consoles or 3DS consoles. Speaking of the Nintendo lawyerness, shall we say, um, Nintendo Music just dropped.
Yeah, Nintendo Music came out a week ago.
Yeah,
What is it exactly? Because I don't know.
it's a Nintendo app on your phone or I think mostly on your phone. It's on the app stores where if you have a Nintendo Switch Online membership, you can use the Nintendo Music app to listen to Nintendo Music.
Okay.
That seems pretty innocuous, right?
Yes.
But if they're playing and they have access to the library of their music, and now it is a product, where do you think the old venues, shall we say, for listening to Nintendo Music went?
Oh, so you're not talking about like Spotify or things of that nature.
No, Nintendo Music is its own app.
No, you're not talking
Nintendo
about
has
Nintendo
loaded its
going
own.
after Spotify or things of that nature.
No, 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 no. They're not going after Spotify. But I believe what I've seen is a bunch of channels. Let's say, for example, like YouTube, where sometimes they just have those like Nintendo Music Library for 10,000
Ah,
hours,
so
or
they're
you
all
know what I
getting
mean?
DMCA strikes now. Whereas
Yeah.
before, that seemed safe for the longest
Well,
time.
you would get DMCA strikes, but they couldn't like so a lot of them technically weren't monetized, I think, because they would get strikes anyways. But that being said, they now can't even play it, is my
Wow.
understanding.
A lot of people felt like video game music is one of those safe,
Mm.
even though you're stealing, even though it's copyrighted information. People
Yeah.
frequently felt like it was safe to use because streamers, like when you're streaming a game, obviously that game's background music is going to be in the game. If you are streaming
Yeah.
Super Mario Sunshine, the Super Mario Sunshine OST is going to be there. And so people always thought, well, I'll just use the Super Mario Sunshine BGM. They'll just think I'm playing the game and they won't flag that at all. But no, they're finding out.
Like, it's tough. We've talked about this recently. I think it was like 3 or 4 episodes ago about how my own feelings were about like how you just can't find and use music without a license anymore, even though like, you know, I come from a time when we all just ripped videos and ripped music and then we'd put in and we'd make a really bad AMV and that's just one creative use of it. But
Yeah.
there's so many other ways and now you can't have that anymore. But on the other hand, I do understand that as an organization, you have to protect your IPs.
Yeah, I understand the business
And
side of it. I really
yeah, and
do.
part of it is
I hate them for it, but I
part of it,
understand.
but part of it is not like technically the company's fault so much as it is that's the IP system. If you don't defend your IPs, you don't defend your copyrights, your trademarks, you're liable to lose them.
So for trademarks, yes. For copyrights, it is arguable. It's not always a guaranteed you lose them.
That is true. That is true.
No matter what,
But there
you
is
still
that,
have
but there's the
copyright.
specter of it.
But if you do not defend your copyrights, then other people can then go back and show, hey, yeah, I was infringing their copyright. But look at how many other times they've infringed their copyright. They've acknowledged that their copyright's been infringing, and they didn't go after them in those cases. This is one of the arguments that was trying to be used when Pepe the Frog, if you remember that character, was being sold on a lot of less than savory merch that the creator of Pepe the Frog did not enjoy. For a while, Pepe the Frog was being considered a hate symbol, if you will.
Yeah, I heard about that.
But
I didn't look
Pepe the
into it,
Frog
but I heard
was
about it.
the author behind them was able to actually sue and win against the people trying to use Pepe in that way.
I mean, good for them.
Yes.
And that is sort of the example at hand, like, but in the big scale. And if it wasn't for the fact that Nintendo not is only a big company, but they are a company that I feel like not exclusively, but they definitely predicate a lot of their success on nostalgia.
Oh, 100%.
If it wasn't for that fact, because like nobody's as upset about it when it comes to Pepe the Frog. You know what I mean?
Of course not.
And it is the same process. It's the same process. It's the same legal reasoning. But we don't like it because it came from a time when we were familiar with not having to go through all that.
Yeah. There was a time where There was a time when being a Nintendo fan didn't have their legal sword of Damocles hanging over your head.
Yeah. But then, we say Nintendo because it's easy, but you can say the same thing for like Microsoft. You can say the same thing for Disney, obviously. Like it goes all ways.
If you start drawing some really spicy Halo art, or if you start making some really neat Halo fan games, there is no reason why Microsoft or 343 or possibly even Bungie can't go after you for that. It's just a matter of, well, why would they? Why should they? The entire Red versus Blue brand, if you will, that media franchise existed using Halo assets.
True.
If I understand, at some point they actually did have to get into a licensing negotiation to continue using it.
Yeah,
But
like
the fact that
that is
instead
like
of
sort of the
being just sued out of existence, they got into negotiations, that's the difference that Nintendo doesn't engage in.
I think it's because there's too many. Like, who's if you know, it's impossible to gauge the ratio, but the ratio between people infringing on Nintendo products versus Halo
You're right.
is probably at least 10 to 1.
There's
It's probably at
several
least
orders of
100 to 1.
magnitude. Let's be fair.
You know, like it's not fair.
But we can look
it's
at other
essentially
behaviors.
like
Eons ago,
it's an unfair
Nintendo
fight.
tried to create a Nintendo Creator Program back when they were blacklisting, when they were claiming, when they were DMCAing any stream on YouTube that had anything to do with Nintendo or showing Nintendo games. They created a Nintendo Creator Program where they basically took 95% of your earnings. Literally everything that you were earning from that Nintendo content went to them. But not only that, if you signed up for that Nintendo Creator Program, your channel couldn't contain anything except Nintendo content. Like, it was such a predatory program that nobody took it. It was awful.
On the other hand,
like, Nintendo is a malicious company.
Talking somewhat similar but different, I do appreciate that Nintendo has taken creativity with its own IPs. There are things like Super Mario Maker, Tetris 99, like things where essentially they took their own IP that could be modified, and then they modified it themselves to make it accessible for everybody to do so and create like infinite replayability.
Yeah,
for example,
create
communities around that idea.
I will harp on Nintendo so much. I do not give them an inch. But they are good games on the Switch. Tetris 99. Tetris isn't even Nintendo IP. Anyone can use Tetris.
Technically not.
But Tetris 99 was insane. That was a thing. And I am so sad that it was only on the Switch. Mario Maker
there was a Mario
was incredibly good.
99 thing.
Mario Maker, and for that matter, Mario Maker 2, I think there was. That is just really great. That is enabling the creativity of anyone wanting to get into like level design, even if they don't know that they want to get into level design. It is just a ridiculously good game. And then, of course, you have all of the Zelda games, which are incredible experiences with game mechanics that you don't see anywhere else.
Pretty much.
Their games are some of the most creative games in the market. And I'm just sad that that company and that console in particular are run by psychopaths.
I mean, I think you sort of have to if you're in the market.
Yep.
You have to.
You have to accept it.
If it's
a Nintendo world, and we have to live in it.
If there was a successful counter argument, there would also be a successful product. But there isn't. So,
yep. It do be what it do be.
Exactly.
And this do be the end of this episode.
Doobie.
Doobie doobie doo.